There must be some misunderstanding. This is the punishment. But I love it here. Sir, we have a problem. The subject either doesn't understand words or is immune to our inhumane torture methods. Bloxd retracted his eye stalks and used his major and minor sub-manipulators to rub at a developing stress crease in his facial integument. Please, if it will not kill you, repeat your description of the problem, insurmountable crisis at hand. His unnamed underling, one of the 3 currently being inflicted on him, winced back under the unrelenting fury of his subtle sarcasm. It is the human, it bleated, keeping all undertones, overtones, and infrasonics out of its trembling vocal utterance. It is refusing to acknowledge the punishment. Bloxd's left eye stalk popped out of hiding, followed by his right, a blatant sign of his irritated disbelief. Correct me if I am mistaken, don't even think about it, but punishment is to be endured screaming or otherwise, not given as a choice to be acknowledged, you gormless idiot. This is not hyperspace study, though in your case it may as well be. I have tried, whined the underling, in a most unbecoming fashion. But no matter how many extra punishments I layer on that ugly bipedal being, it refuses to beg for sweet release or mercy. In fact, it infuriatingly pretends to enjoy them. Slither with me, commanded Bloxd. I shall examine this irritating, obstinate human and formulate a plan of undoubtedly infallible action. He plopped off his comfortable rest and set forth into the depths of the multi-species prison of which he was the supreme high director. Remind me, what crime has this assuredly guilty as sin being been convicted of? It encountered a member of our most high corporate overlord caste and used its hugely strong manipulator arm to strike him in the dorsal region, at the same time uttering the unspeakably insulting phrase, "Sup, dude." The underling cringed back as it repeated the phrase. Those 2 syllables had been known to get beings exiled from the system for life. The force of the aggressively assaulting blow caused the official to regurgitate his last meal. It all made sense now. Such an offense, separating a member of the corporate overlord caste from his food, was among the most heinous known to his kind. Why was it not immediately executed? On-site security attempted to do this, the underling admitted. But their salt sprayers must have been faulty, proved ineffective. So the being was taken into custody and as mandated by the most authoritative, infallible information we have. And you say, it is not working? They slithered into a capture space where the guards determined by eye stalk count that they were not escaped prisoners in disguise, then were let through. No, despite the fact that it should be. The underling twisted its eye stalks in frustration. As mandated, we are forcing it to spend part of its waking cycle semi-submerged in dihydrogen monoxide, and another part being exposed to ultraviolet radiation of an intensity that would surely cook you or I alive. For foodstuffs, it is being forced to subsist on more dihydrogen monoxide, as well as liquids containing caffeine and others containing ethanol. There is also a particularly unpleasant and undoubtedly deadly type of food called pizza, and another called burgers. These have meat-based protein on them. Bloxd shuddered, a process which took some time to complete. His eye stalks curled in on themselves. That sounded like a truly horrific punishment. And it is pretending masquerading enjoyment of this? It must surely possess an unusual, unnatural threshold of pain. A thought struck him. Have you attempted use of salt through torture in these punishments? There is already salt involved, wailed the underling. There is salt dissolved in the dihydrogen monoxide. The ethanol sometimes comes with salt. The pizza and burgers already have salt on them. Well, that seems to be all-encompassing comprehensive, mused Bloxd. He stretched his eye stalks to peer through the UV-shielded window at the human. Clad in a scrap of cloth about the bifurcation in its body, it seemed to be reclining on a rack designed to expose it to the soft yellow-white light from above, no doubt rich in UV radiation. Beneath the rack was a surface composed of silicoid grains sloping down to a large expanse of deadly salt-infused dihydrogen monoxide. How the human could bring itself to submerge itself in that stuff he could not comprehend. Its survival in such a case was even more remarkable. The human turned its head toward the window. While its eyes were covered by dark lenses, no doubt to conceal its suffering, it drew back its lips and exposed its sharp white predator teeth in a threat display. A glass vessel containing what was no doubt a highly deadly concentration of ethanol was raised in one manipulator before the human forced itself to imbibe some. Blue Jazz had seen enough. He retreated from the window. "What was that unsettling aggressive gesture?" he asked, once they were at a safe distance from the door. "I suspect it was intended to convey a threat to pour the ethanol over you, then rend you with its teeth," suggested the underling, looking and sounding revolted. "I agree wholeheartedly concur." Blue Jazz flexed his eye stalks in a determined fashion. "What is next on the punishment scale?" "This human is a male of the species," noted the underling. "At this stage in its development, it wants nothing to do with females. We will pay females of its species to wear minimal covering and associate closely with it. Perhaps then we can break its will." This made sense. Blue Jazz had been through such a stage himself. He was curious, however. "Where are you getting receiving, attaining, gaining this revelation? Awareness knowledge from?" "Oh," said the underling. "When I contacted the human ambassador, I asked it for how its species could be made to suffer. It supplied a very detailed list." Blue Jazz considered this. The best way to torture a member of a species was to ask another member after all. "Well done, even if it is hardly working as yet," he replied. "Carry on." He set out back toward his office. Richard Holt finished the last of his Mai Tai, took off his sunglasses, and got up from the folding recliner. Taking a few long strides, he dived into the water, which was pleasantly cool. The ambassador had assured him they were working hard to spring him from this prison and get him back to Earth. As far as he was concerned, they could take their time.